Howdy. Wanted to do a quick and rather rare wine themed video because I just popped this and I feel a need to talk about it. Okay, so wine commercially is not in a good place right now. Consumption is way down, especially among like younger drinkers. Boomers are still out there keeping us afloat, but they're going to be moving on real soon. So for the medium to long term, things are not looking good. And you know what? Especially when you're talking about domestic wine, it kind of deserves it. It kind of deserves it. Like insofar as domestic wine is represented by California, California wine is a lot of it is very very good, but it's on the whole too damn expensive. It's very produced. It's very cosmetic, if not fake. It's very like it feels out of touch with what incoming generations might be looking for in a bottle of wine. And I mean, it's really just the expensive thing, right? That's killing it. I mean, an acre of land in Napa Valley. And remember, like 40, 50 years ago, Napa was the cool, hip, cheap alternative to the European classics. This was the place to go when you had to stretch your budget. Currently, an acre of like not even good like crappy vineyard in Napa Valley will cost you something. It'll probably start around $150,000 and just go up from there. You could spend less money than that getting Premier Cru Vineyard in Burgundy, for God's sake. It's just, and when the real estate is that high, it just kills everything. It makes labor harder. It makes everything worse. So my one remaining hope for domestic wine is, I mean, I like there are a bunch of really cool up and coming areas, right? We can talk about New York State, we can talk about Oregon, but my big hope is Washington State and the Columbia Valley. Let me give you some context for this. So I recently made an order from Flickinger Wines here in Chicago, which is a kind of warehouse-based retailer of sorts. I was mainly buying some Rieslings, but I noticed they had a bunch of really, really old vintage Washington State wines. They were priced for like $10, so I thought, okay, yeah, I'll grab them. Why not? They're probably going to be dead, but I'm not out too much at that point. This wine right here, well, what is this? This is Wild Sky Cabernet Sauvignon, Walla Walla from 01 Vintners, which is actually, they're just contracting someone else to make this. It's actually made by the Walla Winery, which I think is the Mill brand folks. But anyways, it's a 2007 Walla Walla Cabernet Sauvignon. And so by all rights, like the price of this on retail would have probably been between 20 and $30. So, you know, you wouldn't even be able to buy a Napa cab now for that kind of price point. So it should be dead. This absolutely should be dead. It is not dead. It is very much alive. It's actually quite beautiful. Like, look at the color. It's starting to turn a little bit orange, getting a little garnet in there. And it just smells like a beautiful old cab. Like, this went in a bottle 15 years ago. I have Bordeaux's at this price point that have not aged as well as this. So let's talk about the Columbia Valley for a second. When people are trying to sell Columbia Valley wine, I think they are doing it wrong. They try to, they hem and they haw, and they try to make reference to familiar things. They will say, well, you get a lot of the fruit and the accessibility and the friendliness of California wine, but you get some more of the structure and the seriousness of like Bordeaux. No. I mean, this is you're trying to explain this stuff by reference to two different maritime climates. The Columbia Valley is a desert made of volcanic rock. That's what it is. Like it, if you look up in the textbook, it will tell you it's a warm continental climate on basalt, which is a nice way of saying the same thing. It is a desert of volcanic rock. It barely rains there. It's so desolate. This is the place where the U.S. military used to do lots of testing. I think it was the site for the first plutonium manufacturing area. Please don't worry about like the farmers are very careful about like radiation levels and everything. So do not worry about that. But just to give you some idea, like you are out in the open in this place. It is but it's a phenomenal place to grow wine. It's very hilly, warm days, cold nights. Very gravelly soil, high acid gravelly soil at that. So really aggressive drainage. The vines really have to struggle and fight to retain water. They have to dig really deep. Again, there's really no rain, so you do have to irrigate. But if you're doing it right, man, you can grow some characterful grapes there. The drainage and the sort of temperature swing from day to night just makes these incredibly concentrated grapes at their very best. And it's really hard for me to think of other regions in the world that have this kind of environment. I mean, there's like volcanic soil all over the place. Like you can think of like southern Italy or something, but southern Italy is growing indigenous varietals. Columbia Valley, they're mostly doing international varietals, French varietals, Bordeaux varietals, some Riesling, stuff like that. It's really hard for me to think of another area that's like this. You get incredibly like jammy on the red wines. You get incredibly jammy fruit. This just feels like you stuck your hand in a jam jar and put it in your mouth. But because the nights are so cold, you also get some pretty sky high acid. You get a lot of tannin on the red wines. You get some interesting floral notes. You get some ashy notes. They're really characterful wines. It's a great place. Just look at some of the vineyards. If you get bored, go find pictures of the Rocks District in Walla Walla, which actually stretches into the Oregon part of the Walla Walla AVA. It's actually split between Oregon and Washington, but I think most of it is actually made as Washington wine. It is one of the craziest places I've ever seen to try to grow grapes, but they do, and the wines are so characterful. Yeah, I mean, this is, a reasonably priced cab, $30 tops. I don't think 01 even makes this anymore, but you can find stuff like this, trust me. And it is kicking after, a decade and a half in the bottle. You're starting to get notes of age, right? You're starting to get that kind of caramelly thing, which suggests sweetness, but it's not actually sweet. But yeah, it's not over oaked. It's actually very balanced. Tannin. Blackcurrant, but like dried blackcurrant at this point now. There's some mint. There's little touches of flowers in this, actually. Some vanilla from the oak. Oh, man. Absolutely killer. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I struggle to think of other places in the world where you can get this quality at this price point in this style. Like, again, it's a Bordeaux varietal grown in a completely different place from any other like a completely different terroir from anywhere else I can think of. Yeah, and this will absolutely go with food. And oh, by the way, if you're watching this and for some reason you haven't turned it off and you have no interest in wine, let me make a quick case for you. Do you like food? That's great. Are you willing to spend a little bit of extra money, sometimes a lot of extra money, on something you can have alongside your food that will improve the experience immeasurably? Let me introduce wine to you. These wines have acid, they have tannin, they have backbone. You're not just drinking candy. I think they're tremendous values, and the quality keeps getting better and better and better. The Bordeaux varietals are great. The Syrahs are phenomenal. White wines are not as good, but they're getting there. I've had some Bordeaux blends, really some of the single varietal bottlings, the Semillons, the Sauvignon Blancs, are really technically more like Bordeaux blends, but they're Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc do very, very well up there. The Chards are okay, but yeah, this is it's food-friendly wine that's accessible on like a human budget. You can get something that'll beat the crap out of Napa Valley for less money than you're spending in Napa Valley. So yeah, if you were curious and you want to give domestic wine another shot after many disappointments, head to the Columbia Valley. Particularly look out for Walla Walla and Red Mountain are kind of my favorites, but there's tons of like little regions down there. Horse Heaven Hills are terrific values. And yeah, I guess that's kind of what I got. I don't know what this video is supposed to accomplish. I just was kind of blown away by how well this thing is holding up. Yeah. So we're gonna have this with some sirloin later tonight. Thanks for watching and cheers.